Physics, Chapter 17, uh, Theory Video 3, Steady Speed Changing Velocity. Now, if you look at this figure 17.5, you can see that there is a central point. Around that point, an object is moving. That black dot is the moving object. Then at three different points A, B and C, they have marked the direction at which it is moving. So obviously you know that the direction is actually a tangent. At that point it is at the tangent. If now for example, let's say if this is if this object is attached to a string or something, that's blue colored part is if there is a string. If that string was to break, you know that it would create a tangent and travel in that direction, right? So now the point that we need to understand here is, even though this object is moving at a steady speed, right? How do we know that it is moving at a steady speed? Because the size of this arrow, the red colored arrow, that gives the length of that arrow gives us the idea that it is moving at a certain specific steady speed, right? Because the length is the same. But the main factor that we know, the main other factor that we need to understand is that its direction is changing, right? So the direction is changing. If the direction is changing, that means we are talking about a changing velocity. The velocity is changing. The numerical value of the speed remains the same, right? If it remains the same, then how can we talk about velocity? Now, what is velocity? Velocity is a vector quantity. It has a direction as well as a magnitude. Then what is speed? Speed is a scalar quantity. What is a scalar quantity? It has only a magnitude. But in this particular occasion, the velocity, we are talking about velocity. The reason why we need to talk about velocity is again because we have to use Newton's laws of motion. When we use Newton's laws of motion, in Newton's laws of motion, we are talking about velocity. Now, at this particular points, point A, B and C, there is a velocity. Why? Because it has a direction and also it has a speed. But in the next instant, it changes. That is a different point. It's a different point, but still it is changing. The velocity is changing because the direction changes. Even in the next given instance, it is changing. Write down the note. When talking about circular motion, to apply Newton's laws of motion, we should discuss the velocity of the object. As shown in the below diagram, the velocity changes every instant because the direction changes. But the numerical value of the velocity remains the same, within brackets, right, as shown by the same length of the arrow.